Welcome to the Social Business Engine podcast, where today's thought leaders discuss how they're using the latest social media strategies and technologies in marketing, sales, customer service, and HR. Get ready to be inspired as our guests contribute to your digital transformation through their stories, knowledge, and insights into what works in today's digitally connected world. And now, here's Bernie Borges, your host of the Social Business Engine podcast.
Hey there, welcome to episode 189. I'm Bernie Borges, CMO of Vengreso, and your host of the Social Business Engine podcast. Hey, thanks for listening. On this episode, I'm excited to bring you my conversation with Abhishek Shanbhag. This episode is a continuation on the topic of AI-powered conversations. Today, we're exploring how chatbots can be developed and deployed in the enterprise. Abhishek is the co-founder of Acuvate, a leader in building and deploying business productivity solutions that leverage AI, data, and analytics to allow employees to work more productively. Abhishek has consulted with clients globally to provide solutions on technologies such as SharePoint, Office 365, and Azure. He's worked with clients across multiple industry domains, and his current focus is artificial intelligence, bots, and machine learning, and their applications in the enterprise. Now, in this episode, you're going to discover use cases and deployment strategies for chatbots that can inspire your thinking on ways to use chatbots to increase the productivity of employees, maybe in your business. Now, before I get to my conversation with Abhishek, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Frost Sullivan. Vengreso has partnered with Frost Sullivan on the launch of the Sales Team Alpine Retreat, STAR for short. Our CEO, Mario Martinez Jr., is going to be presenting a session on digital selling strategies and tactics. Now, if you're not already familiar with Frost Sullivan's STAR Executive MindXchange, what I want you to know is that it's really a unique opportunity to participate in what is widely recognized as the premier sales leadership think tank event. Now, the format is interactive and collaborative, and there are no PowerPoint presentations. Sales leaders discuss relevant topics, brainstorm, benchmark ideas and strategies, and generate action plans with each other. The sales leaders who attend STAR work across various industries, so you get the benefit of creative thinking that you wouldn't ordinarily get. Now, you're going to love the location. The STAR event will take place February 7th through the 9th, 2018 in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Now, on February 6th, there's an optional ski day, which I plan to take full advantage of because as a Floridian, I don't get to go snow skiing very often. So if you're a marketer, hey, tell your sales leadership about this event. And if you're in sales leadership, then hey, I hope that you'll check it out and join me on the ski slopes on February 6th or at the STAR event beginning February 7th. Now, as an event partner, Vengreso has a $250 savings for all our subscribers. That's podcast and newsletter subscribers. So for more information on the Frost Sullivan Sales Team Alpine Retreat event, just go to frost.com/Vengreso. And of course, you can just visit our show notes page at Vengreso.com, where we'll link up that page for you and make it real easy for you. All right, well now, here's my conversation with Abhishek Shanbhag of Acuvate. Abhishek, welcome to the Social Business Engine podcast.
Thank you, Bernie. Thanks for having me here.
My pleasure. I've been looking forward to our conversation. So why don't we begin, Abhishek, with an introduction to your company, Acuvate, and of course, your role at the company.
Acuvate, we have been in the industry for more than 11 years now. Our focus is helping our customers by building enterprise software, especially around artificial intelligence, digital platforms, data, and analytics. We have been working with a large number of customers worldwide and focused more on the internal business productivity improvement based applications. Of late, the focus has been a lot in building AI-based chatbots and softwares that users can actually have a conversation with. And that's where my sort of business unit and role comes in. I head the solutions business unit at Acuvate, and me and my team, we are responsible for research in the space of enterprise bots, and we work very closely with our customers to identify various areas wherein artificial intelligence, machine learning, and chatbots can help.
Okay, terrific. Well, I think that's a great segue to what we agreed to discuss today, and that is the focus on chatbot. Of course, AI is a topic that my listener knows is getting a lot of attention in the media in general, and of course, here with me on the Social Business Engine podcast. So, um, Abhishek, let's begin with just a basic definition of a chatbot. What is a chatbot?
A chatbot is just like any other software, but the main difference between a traditional software like a mobile application or web-based application where you log in into the browser is that this software sits in within your existing messaging applications. So if you have used Facebook Messenger, or if you have used text messages, and let's say a piece of software on the other side understands your natural language, the way you have asked a question, and then responds back with the required information. So that is essentially a chatbot. For example, let's say that I need to find out what's the uh, current balance on my bank account, and rather than logging into my net banking or opening up my banking mobile app, I just send a text message saying what's my what's my current balance, and then there's a response from the
Mm-hmm.
other side which says your balance is so and so, and then it can actually help you with next level of responses. So that essentially is a simple way of saying what a chatbot is. It's essentially a robotic software which is optimized for chat or conversations.
Okay. I think a lot of people, myself included, Abhishek, have this impression that a lot of chatbots are very limited in what they're capable of. And of course, you have no way of knowing this, but my previous episode that published just before this one was similar in nature. It was an interview with the CEO of Conversica, and so we did talk about the whole notion of a sales assistant. In your scenario, we're kind of coming up to 10,000 feet and looking at what chatbots are and specifically talking about some use cases. So why don't we talk about some use cases, of course, including marketing and sales, but not limited to marketing and sales. Kind of paint the picture on how many different ways we can deploy chatbots.
Sure. When it comes to deploying chatbots or using them for and within an enterprise, and the reason I say within an enterprise is because if you look at any software that's out there, you could at a high level say that it's a consumer facing software, so it's like B2C,
Right.
or it's B2B, and it's an employee facing software, which is B2E. And a lot of the bots that we at Acuvate are focused on has been in the space of B2B as well as B2E, so it's more internal facing. So in terms of marketing and sales, etc., the sort of use cases that we typically see is that a bot which can be a virtual member of the marketing function or of the marketing team, and it can help the human team members become more productive by answering questions much more faster than by looking up a report or logging into a software. Or in the case of sales functions, a bot that is connected to the CRM, it's connected to the enterprise knowledge base, and so is able to answer these questions or bring back relevant information on the basis of what individuals need.
So would an example of that be something like what were the results of our last email campaign? What were the open rates, click through rates, to sort of gather that information quickly so that we can do some planning for the next campaign? Would that be an example? Or
So if you look at marketing, yes, that is definitely an example wherein, let's say, marketing team has run a campaign, and now you have all of this data. And traditionally, what anyone would do would be probably log in into the dashboard and reporting system, or have access to data and then slice and dice that within Excel or other tools. So you could have a bot which could give back answers to those questions. At the same time, let's say you have run a whole number of campaigns, and now you'd like to do some sort of predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics, and try and find out which would be the best campaign on the basis of the past historical data that I have. And that's where, let's say, you can ask a bot and say, okay, which would be a good campaign to run this time of year for my product X. And then based on the historical data, the bot can come back with certain predictive predictions. It can come back with certain responses, which can then help a marketing person decide which would be the best campaign to run. So it can be used in both scenarios, and a lot of the work that we have seen in this space is more to do with the prescriptive part, because that's where, let's say in the middle of a brainstorming session or conversation or a meeting, having a bot which can quickly bring back this information can be very helpful to the marketing team.
okay, I was going to ask you about that. So, can you elaborate on that a little bit? So, what is the difference between a predictive analytics request and a prescriptive analytics request, if I'm even framing it properly?
Yes. If you look at all of the data that resides within, let's say, an enterprise warehouse, on the basis of all of the historical campaigns that have been run, or various marketing activities that have happened, on the basis of that, a predictive algorithm, a predictive is something that predicts the outcome of an action that you would like to take. So let us say you want to run a campaign, you put that information in, and you say, okay, if I run this campaign, can you predict what the results might be? So in that case, what has happened, what's happening is that probably we have made a list of different campaigns that we would like to run, and now we are trying to figure out what's going to happen if we go ahead and do that. Prescriptive is, you ask the bot, on the basis of all the information that you have right now, can you prescribe, can you tell us what do you think we should run now? So here it's more of an open-ended question, and you're trying to use the bot to prescribe what is it that we should do, and then we can take a decision.
Yeah. So, can I substitute the word prescribe with recommend? So it's going to recommend
Hmm.
what you should do.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's come back over to sales. You mentioned marketing and sales, and we've been talking about marketing. How are you seeing bots used in the realm of sales? And if you want to distinguish between B2B and B2C, I live in B2B, but that's okay. Not everybody lives in B2B. There are lots of B2C people out there. So, what are your thoughts on sales?
In terms of sales chatbots, the different use cases that we have seen is essentially to make the lives of a salesperson, far more easier, in the sense that having access to all of the latest information, be it in a CRM system, or be it in, let's say, a knowledge base, like where all of the sales and marketing collaterals are kept, or from the ERP systems, in the sense that uh, like product price lists, etc. So as a sales guy, I most of the guys are on the road, they're meeting customers or having sales calls and meetings. Having a bot on their phone, which can easily bring the information to them, or give them answers on the basis of their questions at any time, can be quite helpful. So, a couple of the use cases that we have worked on, these have been for large FMCG companies, wherein a salesperson can check the various metrics based on their performance. They can ask questions pertaining to the products that they need to focus on based on the KPIs that are currently set for them. At the same time, let's say they're going out and they're going to have a meeting with the client, and if they would like to have information about the customer, about open orders or pending invoices and all that, rather than reaching out to someone and then requesting for a report or logging into an application to view them, they could just ask the bot. They could even ask the bot to send an email with the latest price list or sales collateral, and the bot can trigger an email which lands in their inbox right in time for the meetings.
That sounds fantastic. I can only imagine that the salesperson would also just ask from a prescriptive standpoint. So, what is my customer most likely to want to buy from me now? Now, I'm being a little bit facetious on that, but honestly, I don't think that that's a far stretch. Isn't that the whole purpose of it being prescriptive, is to help the salesperson really understand what is the most likely next sale opportunity with a customer?
Yes, I would say that, as I mentioned before, it depends on the amount of historical data that organizations keep. Uh, Large mature organizations, they have a lot of historical data which can be used to train uh, the different machine learning and predictive algorithms to be able to give this information back. So, based on the sort of maturity in terms of an organization's uh, data and analytics platforms, these bots can leverage the existing data and bring this information back. And in those scenarios, yes, what you just mentioned, wherein bots can you can ask a question like wherein you can ask the bot to recommend as to what the product should be, and it can bring back that particular information.
Okay, terrific. So, Abhishek, what I'd like to cover next, because I want to make sure we have enough time for it together, and let's talk about what it typically looks like to roll out, develop, implement, and roll out chatbot solutions. Since Acuvate is in the business of developing these at the enterprise client level, what's it look like from a roadmap standpoint, a time frame standpoint? What are the risks? What are the what kind of planning is required up front? What are potential points of failure? What kind of effort? Just kind of paint that picture of what does it take to actually roll out a chatbot based solution.
Sure. A lot of our customers, initially when they approach us, they think that rolling out a chatbot is very complex because it involves artificial intelligence. And our sort of general idea of AI is more from the movies, and they yeah, and so they think that it's a very long drawn out process. It's going to take us several months of work, and it's going to take a long time for us to get something of value out of it. But that's actually not the case. With the advancements in artificial intelligence, in machine learning, a lot of the technology that goes into building a chatbot is available in the cloud. If you look at the Microsoft stack with Microsoft Cognitive Services, a lot of these services are available. Or even if you look at IBM Watson, Google, Amazon, etc., a lot of the technologies like natural language understanding, language translation, image processing, etc., they are all available. Speech to text. So essentially, the brain of a bot can be built with these different services which are in the cloud. And so there is no need of any infrastructure. Everything is readily available. The starting point for every customer is to identify the use case which can give the maximum value. So, be it in the case of, let's say, marketing, a bot that can help marketing teams with analytics related questions, or it can act as an extended team member, alerting sales guys, salespeople as to when is the next marketing campaign or promotion that is going to run, and so help them accordingly, or be it in the space of HR bots that can help employees answer a lot of different questions pertaining to their HR data and so on. So any if you take any department or any business unit or function within an organization, identifying these use cases are the first step. And what we recommend is there is a journey that every organization has to live through as they embark on with chatbots and artificial intelligence. So, one should not try to achieve a lot many things on the very first step. Rather, it should be a step-by-step evolution of bots within the enterprise. And there's a lot of great information that's available out there on the internet, as well as from industry-leading sources like Gartner. So what we recommend is that identify a use case. Um, let's aim for having a bot being rolled out from that ideation phase into the hands of the employees within 6 to 8 weeks,
Okay.
and have a pilot group which can then chat with the bot, because every conversation that the bot has with the human, there is so much of potential for the bot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we recommend is to have this continuous feedback and learning mechanism, so that the bot is learning the nuances of the interaction with the humans every day within the enterprise.
Okay. Terrific. That's very helpful. So let's talk a little bit about what is the impact, especially in a B2E scenario, meaning business to employee, an internal bot. What is the impact on people's productivity and job performance, maybe even jobs in general? Can you comment on that?
On the basis of the different bots that we have deployed for our clients, we have seen that there's a pretty healthy uptake as compared to traditional software. So an organization rolling out a portal or a mobile app has far more success when they roll out a conversational bot. Um, if you look at the various bots that we have rolled out for HR, wherein bots answer the first level of questions. So it can be simple questions like where do I find a particular policy, or how do I apply for a company credit card, or it can be slightly complex ones like how much is my medical benefit, and can I what can I claim as a part of the company policies, and so on. And so what we have seen is that it's quite helpful for the employees, for the consumers, because they have a virtual support person who is available 24 by 7, and they can reach out to the bot at any time and have their question answered. And at the same time, for the functions who have deployed the bot, for example, the HR function, if that has deployed the HR bot, their team can focus on the really complex questions which cannot be handled by a chatbot or cannot be handled by artificial intelligence, but needs real human intelligence and empathy to be able to respond.
Okay. And what about the actual underlying enterprise application? Does it matter if a company is running SAP, Oracle, or any of the other brands, that are out there installed and implemented, and maybe even in mid-sized companies that aren't running maybe those kinds of brands, but they're running other technology platforms? Are these bots that you're building, are they application technology agnostic or dependent on any of these technologies?
The bots that we are building, or rather any of the chatbots, if you take a look at most of them, they are not really dependent on the backend applications like the ERP systems or the HR systems, etc., CRMs, etc. Bots are it's a new interface, right? It is the conversational interface. So many a times what we have done is we have integrated with these existing applications. So any question that is asked to a bot, the bot actually understands it, and then it reaches out to these internal systems, be it Oracle or SAP or Microsoft, etc., and then it brings back that information and then relays it back to the user in a conversational manner.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. I think what I'd like to do now, Abhishek, is segue to the part of the podcast episode where I attempt to summarize what we've discussed here. And then I'm going to ask you to fill in any holes in my summary, or if I jog your memory on a point that you'd like to make, I invite you to do that. We'll keep that point brief since we are nearing the end of this episode. We began our conversation, Abhishek, with your introduction of both your company and your role. You are head of solutions at Acuvate, focused on research and enterprise in the area of bots. But of course, your company is an 11-year-old company that helps companies develop and implement enterprise applications around AI, data, and analytics, really focused on helping employees improve productivity through apps and tools and analytics. We really focused our conversation mostly on chatbots. What are they? You said, hey, first of all, it's software, and it's software that sits within a messaging application, a messaging environment of some sort. And you make reference to bots that most of us have probably interacted with, like text-based or Facebook Messenger, that kind of thing. And a bot is software that understands natural language and, of course, learns as you interact with it. And couple of well-known use cases that you reference are things like what's my current balance on my bank account, and again it's responding to voice interaction. So then we talked about the types of bots that are available in industry. There's B2B, B2C, and then of course where you spend probably most of your time, perhaps all of your time, is B2E, business to employee, and that's building bots that are used internally by an enterprise. And then really, you characterize it, and I like this characterization, that it's really like a virtual member of the employee team. So whether it's marketing, sales, HR, finance, it's a virtual employee, or virtual member rather. And of course, it's 24/7 because it's a bot. So it simply provides the ability to answer questions much faster than people can. And so it really it takes away the human requirement of logging into a system to run a report. Instead, you can ask questions. And then we talked about the difference between predictive and prescriptive analytics. So predictive analytics would be something like, well, let's run some analytics to determine maybe, which kinds of campaigns we should consider running next time, whereas easy for me to say, right? Prescriptive analytics is more about asking the bot to recommend or predict what the next campaign should be about. And that's very, very fascinating. I just need to be able to pronounce it better. And then we talked about how bots can be used in sales. And so you mentioned that it can be connected to a CRM system, and so can help sales professionals really make their life easier. So instead of tapping into the CRM system conventionally, which of course requires that human interaction, you can just use your phone and ask questions and get the bot to tap into data within the system and answer questions like, what are the products that this customer I'm about to go visit with in 30 minutes? What are the most recent products that they've purchased? Maybe what open orders do they have? What problems have they currently logged that haven't been resolved yet? And really just understand, what's the best way to approach this meeting that I'm about to go into with this customer. Then we talked about sort of what's it take to actually roll out a bot application. And, you prefaced your answer to my question by saying that a lot of companies think that it's very complex and takes a long time to roll out. And, you make the excellent point that, with artificial intelligence being somewhere in the range of 30 or so years old, there's been a lot of advancement in recent years, and a lot of AI technology is available in the cloud from friends like Microsoft, Google, IBM, etc. So really the brain of the bot can be built from this infrastructure. So you mentioned that to get started, you start with the use case. What's the business problem? Define the goal. And then really aim to build a bot that's available relatively quickly. You said within 6 to 8 weeks so that it can be deployed. And really it's a journey. And in that first phase, it's really all about just getting the bot into the hands of the employees and giving both the employees the opportunity to learn how it's used, as well as giving the bot the opportunity to learn through the interaction and allow the bot to get smarter along the way. And then you mentioned that a big success factor is to really focus on conversational bots because of the interaction and their ability to learn. And the last point that we covered was that bots are really in the enterprise are not dependent on systems that have already been implemented. Rather, they can be integrated with existing applications such as, the big enterprise applications like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, etc. So that's my summary. Abhishek, would you like to elaborate on anything that perhaps I left out or I jogged your memory on?
Well, Bernie, I think that's a great summary. You have covered, all of the points in our discussion here today. I would just like to highlight one point with respect to, how is it that customers get started. And this has been a recommendation from our side to all of the customers where we have rolled out chatbots, is to get started with a bot that can answer the first level of questions. So, an easy way to find that out is to take some of your internal support functions like HR or IT, marketing, etc., which provide services to your employees, and then find those top 50 odd questions which are quite repetitive in nature, and then program that
Mhm.
inside a bot. And that's a great starting point because it frees up a lot of the time of your people, of the team members, and it provides a great way for employees to get access to that information quite easily. So that's a recommendation, and it has worked out really well for a lot of our customers.
Terrific. That is a great point to end our conversation on, Abhishek. Thank you so much for making that point. So before we actually wrap up and I segue to my outro, where would you like to send my listener online to connect with you and learn more about what you've got going on at Acuvate?
A great place would be our website, that's acuvate.com. It has an overview of all of the different services that we provide, especially around bots. We also have botcore.ai, that's botcore.ai. It's an enterprise bot building platform that we have built, which makes it really easy and simple for enterprises to build and roll out chatbots. A lot of our customers are using Botcore today, wherein they are building and training and deploying their own bots within the enterprise.
Excellent. Well, my listener knows that both of those will be linked up in our show notes, both at vengreso.com and at socialbusinessengine.com. Well, Abhishek, thank you so much for joining me here today on the Social Business Engine podcast. This has been very, very insightful.
Well, thank you, Bernie. Thanks for having me with you here today.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Abhishek Shanbhag, co-founder and practice head solutions at Acuvate. This has been episode 189, How Chatbots Can Make Life Easier for Marketing and Sales Employees. My biggest takeaway from this discussion is the simplicity of a seemingly complex topic, which is creating and implementing chatbots. As Abhishek points out, AI technology is now available in the cloud. And by focusing on answering common questions to quickly deploy a chatbot that removes the tedious burden of answering those common questions, well, that's a great way to get a bot launched in any business. Then you allow the bot to learn through machine learning so that it gets smarter and more productive, and then removes tedious tasks from employees, which can have both a cost savings effect and a morale boost. This is a huge takeaway because, again, it simplifies what can otherwise seem like a daunting project in a business. Hey, what's your takeaway from my conversation with Abhishek? Visit our show notes page at vengreso.com and leave your comments on this Social Business Engine podcast episode. And while you're there, be sure to get subscribed to get our weekly updates so that you don't miss future podcast episodes with me on Social Business Engine or with Mario Martinez Jr. on his Selling with Social podcast. Hey, I want to remind you that this episode is sponsored by Frost Sullivan. Be sure to visit frost.com/Vengreso, which we'll link up in the show notes, where you can learn more about the Sales Team Alpine Retreat, STAR for short. I'm going to be there, so will the rest of the Vengreso leadership team, including our CEO, Mario Martinez Jr., who will be presenting a session on digital selling strategies and tactics. As a Vengreso subscriber, you can save $250. Just go to frost.com/Vengreso. Again, we'll link that up in our show notes page, which you can find at Vengreso.com. Well, hey, that's a wrap for episode 189. I want to thank my guest once again, Abhishek Shanbhag, co-founder and practice head solutions at Acuvate. This is Bernie Borges, CMO of Vengreso, signing off for now and wishing you continued success on your social business journey.
Thank you for listening to the Social Business Engine podcast. Be sure to tune in again next week to reconnect with Bernie Borges for more insights, inspiration, and practical advice on social business. Visit socialbusinessengine.com to catch even more content on social strategy that will rock your business and your career.